Hi there. It's me, Dr. Teacher, for another episode of Everything Now. Thank you all for joining us. It's going to be a really great show. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Wow. Here we are, on the set. Guys, I don't know if there's some times where you're feeling sick. You feel like you don't want to get out of bed. Whether it's a sore throat or a headache, it can be bad. But sometimes we just want to feel like those old people up there and just hula hoop, have a good time. That's why we need to be healthy. This episode is all about health, and we have some great panelists for you. We have Krishna Maurice, Holistic Cleanser. We have Dr. Murphy Redfield, a gamer pediatrician.
Hi, thank you.
We have our guest panelist, Cooper. He's a normal guy. And then our last presenter is Paul Brutal, a neo-nutritionist. Oh, thank you, Paul. What a great group of guests we have. And, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm ready to... Oh, what's that? I think I hear something. Wee-oo, 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 wee-oo. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh gosh, we have our jingle. This week's jingle. So let's give it a listen. Wow, that was great. Another great jingle. How'd you guys feel about that jingle?
Good. I really enjoyed it.
It was powerful.
I liked it. I liked it up until that noise at the end.
It made me want to dance.
Great. And yeah, chat, how are y'all feeling? I wanted to ask the chat and also the panel a question. And that question is, what do you do to stay healthy? You know, a lot of people think that I'm just a brain in a jar, but I actually like to do sit-ups every morning. I get out of bed. Well, I'm just floating in liquid all the time, but I open my eyes and I turn upside down and I crunch my my Abdullah oblongata together, so I can strengthen my body, which is also my mind. But yeah, if anybody in the chat wants to share what they do to stay healthy, and we can also get some input from the panelists.
I can go first. If that's okay. Sure. Yeah. I own an elliptical machine, and I built my own treadmill, and I often use them in 30-minute bursts while I play video games and listen to podcasts and watch TV. I watch TV on 2 times speed, so I can just kind of break through a lot of shows.
Great.
Mine's pretty straightforward. Eat your green vegetables, get a lot of exercise. But a trick that I've figured out to kind of avoid germs is to only breathe through your nose. So I've had multiple sinus infections, but you don't get kind of the worst germs as a result of that.
I have created a mask in which I manifest my illnesses, and I simply converse with and pray to the mask every night for its mercy, and it returns its nobility.
I have a pretty strict regimen that I'm going to get into a little bit later on in my presentation, but I combine that with an exercise program that changes every day depending on what I'm doing. I'll just give my 100% to whatever daily task I'm doing, whether it be my laundry or grocery shopping. I'll just go full blown 100%, and that's how I get active in the day.
Wow, those are all great. And what are we hearing in the chat? What are some of our friends saying?
We've the Aiden Wood that I want to see. She asked if does Gamer pediatrician use the treadmill and the elliptical at the same time. When I've tried in the past, certainly, but it's kind of been counterproductive, I feel. So I kind of do them, back to back. Sometimes I kind of do one for a minute, and then another one for the minute, and then I do one for 30 seconds, then I do the other one for 30 seconds, and I just kind of keep going shorter and shorter, going back and forth. And I put them on other sides, like opposite sides of the garage, just to add a little more challenge.
Sounds really stressful.
Oh, it's horrifyingly aching on the body, absolutely. But that's what's, if you're in pain, that means you know that it's working. That's what I like to say.
User Jupiter Ninja commented earlier. They said that they eat a disgusting quantities of pizza, and I just wanted to let that user know that we're gonna teach you some real great tips if you stick around for the rest of the episode. We're gonna have you in tip-top shape by the end of the episode tonight. So stick around because there's gonna be a lot of great info to get you up to health.
Thank you so much. And yes, it's very important to stay healthy, guys. This is Everything Now. It's the show that fills your skull full of knowledge, and that's what we're here to do. So we have these three presenters, and they're going to come up and kind of present their knowledge and their perspectives on health. And hopefully you guys will learn something. We'll have Q&As after each of the presentations, so you'll get to ask some questions. I guess we can lead right into our first panelist, which will be Krishna Maurice. Give it up, please, for Krishna Maurice.
Thank you very much for having me here. This is truly an honor for me. And I'd like to thank you all for your presence, for your attention, for your points of view. I am Krishna Maurice. I'm a holistic cleanser. I was based in the East Village of Manhattan for most of my life, but I've now moved to Arizona. I'd not like to get into why that is, but I'll just say that Bloomberg is a menace to the people of New York. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's lost its character is all. I'm here to talk to you today about a more natural approach to your health. I think in society today, I see too many people taking medications and powders and serums, and they're not the right ones. We have more natural ones, and I'd like to talk about what some of those options are. Sometimes it's what you do, not so much what you take. What you think, not so much what you inject. So, if the brain in the jar would indulge me, I'd like to. Other way. There you go. Excuse me. This is Healing with the Soul. I'm hoping to option this into a book once I can create a narrative of it of sorts. It will be narrative. It wouldn't be non. It would be It would be fiction.
It's a story.
It would be story based.
Okay.
Are there going to be pictures?
There would maybe be drawings, maybe symbols.
Okay.
I would say symbols more than pictures.
Get behind that.
Sure, yeah.
But for now, Healing with the Soul. Could we have the next slide, please? So the first thing we need to learn is the mind. It's evil, it wants to hurt you, it's a liar, and it's wrong. The mind is a product of the negative forces that have infiltrated our world. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfect and natural too, and we're glad they're here. But it's important that you learn to separate the mind, which again is evil, it's bad, from the greater inner you. And we'll get into that a bit more later. I do feel a little awkward. I did not realize the host of this show was simply a brain.
I'm sorry. I tried to cover myself up with the slides so you wouldn't.
I think this might be able to help you because we can get into some of the.
Yeah.
I mean, you must be having problems. You're just strictly mind.
I mean, I consider myself pretty healthy, but
Do you ever get worried about stressful things?
Yeah. I get stressed out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not with my program. You wouldn't be.
Oh,
'Cause you'd be free of your mind.
great.
Can we hit the next slide, please? So there's the mind and then there's the body. Now the body, that's the opposite of the mind. They're the two that are working in tandem to create that beautiful and unique you that we all know. It's secretly, in some ways, the mind. It's a thing that's a little secret, but it's sort of the mind of its own, beyond the greater mind.
I'm sorry. So the mind is the body, and the body is the mind.
Is the body
I wouldn't
bad?
say the mind is the body.
So
don't
the
know.
body is the mind.
So the body's evil too, then.
That's what
No.
Okay.
No, the body's the good and the mind is the evil.
Okay.
The mind is not necessarily the body, but the body is, in fact, the mind. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I'm sure it'll
great.
tie up together.
I agree.
Still fuzzy.
There's a
Continue.
Q&A at the end.
Exactly.
It's true. So it's the all-knowing force of truth that makes you smarter and it makes the universe solve your problems. If you just sort of embrace and trust in your mind, it will sort of just have your problems solve themselves. For instance, when I was evicted out of my East Village co-op of sorts, it just so happened that an aunt of mine died 1 month later, and I was able to move into her home in Arizona. That stuff, that's the universe taking care of you. Next slide, please. So the trick with the body is getting in touch with the body. That's the most important thing in learning to be free of your evil mind. And the best way to do that, I mean, there's many different ways to do it, but I think the one we're going to talk about today is art. I have some.
Oh wow.
I have some art tools. And if I had a patient come in to my church, and they do often, the first thing I would have them do for my diagnosis is I would have them paint. And after about their fourth painting, I would ask them, do you have any associations from this painting to maybe a traumatic event of your childhood? And if they do, that's how I'll begin working on the medication, which would usually be a different set of paintings they'll have to do. But let me give a diagnosis painting.
Okay.
So this is very simple. You don't need to be registered in any place to do this, which is the benefit of this kind of medicine, because they can be real sticklers about what you can and can't give out to the common people around this great country of ours. So you get a little of this. Maybe you get a little of this.
Now, when you're saying a little of this, what are you talking about?
It's paint. It's paint.
Okay.
You pick the colors that talk to you. If it's early on, they might not be talking to you yet. Eventually, they will start to talk to you. Just whatever draws your attention, and then you just give it a this, and you just paint your truth. That's the important part, because the diagnosis can't work if you're not painting your truth. And your truth, of course, that's what's different than the mind. The mind doesn't really have truths. So it's done.
Already?
Yes.
Oh.
That's what it told me it's done.
Okay.
Can
Can we see it?
Yeah, absolutely. If we want to just take a look at it. It's
Can you see that? Thank you. Thank you, my gosh.
Wow.
And I feel great now. I feel cleansed in a way. And if I was a doctor, I would identify that I have diverticulitis from looking at this, which is true. I do have that. So that's that is how art can help us connect to our body. Can we get the next slide, please? So the question is, how do we find that soul? How do we find that thing inside of us, embracing the unknown that's with all of us? So we can follow our bliss. That's a very clear pattern. It's just do things you like, and then it'll be good. And I think that's really good. And then there's also herbs that make your brain tighter. And I have over here. These are herbs that my church will give out. They are not for sale. You can only earn these. You cannot buy them. As you can see, the label has been scratched off. Let me see if you can get a good look there. What we'll do is we'll print the label for our knowledge to have that kind of information about what's in our mix of herbs, but then we make sure you don't know because a placebo effect could kick in. Thank you. Thank you. Next slide, I believe. Yes. So yes, now we're talking about opening that path. Now that we've identified it, now that we've found our soul, how do we bridge that connection? How do we cleanse our illnesses? And I think, again, there's many different ways to do that, but I think the best one, again, is art. And so now I can give you one of those sort of later paintings I was talking about. This is one you do when you know you have your diverticulitis or whatever it is, and you just want to, paint it out of you in a way, which I'm still in the process of. But what you'll do for this is, again, you just get some of these guys here, whichever one talks to you, listen to them, don't listen to them, they'll find you. Some of that, and then you're just going to paint it out. And when you're painting here, you're not thinking about anything, you're not using your mind, you're just listening to your body. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because it's created, and it's the universe. And what's beautiful about the universe is it still creates through us, if you think about it. That's a big part of the book, actually. Thank you. Thank you, my gosh. Alright, so this one's done as well. If we want to just take a look at this. Now, I feel so good right now. I wish I could... I wish I could really explain the clarity I just felt. My colon was throbbing this morning, if I'm being honest, and now it's...
Oh my.
I barely even notice it. Wow, look at that. Kind of looks like a cherub. Do you see that? Do you see the cherub?
I guess.
If I squint really hard.
Yeah, maybe give me a couple more minutes with it, yeah.
Okay.
Could I see that compared to your previous painting?
If you'd like, yes.
Wow.
Those are some good-looking paintings.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see here, this is when I know what's happening. This
Sure.
one's more of a self-discovery. I'm figuring it out.
It's like a before and after.
It's a before and after of the soul. It's a
Wow.
before and after of the soul. So we can next slide this. So solving the Christ child. So we're all awful people. We're all murderers, serial killers. We strangle cats. When we
That's
were young, we
specific.
liked to burn things with magnifying glasses. That's all of us, and that's in all of us. We all have that urge, and we'd all murder if we could. But that's okay, because that's normal and that's fine. And when you can learn that, this is actually the slide after. There we go.
Oh.
So now you see what I'm talking about. So you can learn to be true with your, your, and then you can be free. If we can go previous one slide. Oh, gosh, thank you. So if we're talking about preventative, we're talking about solving the Christ child, and that is a matter of positive reinforcement, positive thinking. Is your diverticulitis a bad thing, or do you actually like it? Do you actually like that it's in you and you think it's a powerful part of you that makes you who you are? Suddenly it's not an illness, it's a personality. So if we could...
Hell yeah.
You okay?
Sorry, that was emotional for me.
I understand. No, this
That
is very
came
personal.
from
You
a
got
really
this.
deep part of my
Of
You
course.
can do it.
And
Push through.
I was just amazed. Okay, if we could go to not the slide about us wanting to be serial killers, the one that will follow that.
Why were you nodding along when you said we all kill cats?
Yeah, we
So-
all do that.
These practices, they're ancient, and they're written for a time that we no longer live in. I mean, we have these god creatures in our pocket. That's something our church actually talks a lot about the god creatures we call iPhones. They can do everything if you think about it. In a way, they're gods, and we bow to them in certain ways, don't we?
Hell yeah.
Thank you. So I want to just demonstrate things you can do to keep up with times. And the best one I can recommend.
Would you like a water?
This is the.
You have your drink you left over.
Fight through
here.
it.
No, I know why this happens, and it's good that it happens.
Is this your
It's actu-
diverticulitis?
It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen, and I like when it happens.
You're fine.
It's your personality now, right?
Exactly.
You
Okay.
just call someone?
No. So we're gonna exercise. I'm just gonna do some basic exercises. It's good to think about what Greek god you would be if you could while you're doing these push-ups. That helps you summon a greater truth. So I'm just
Oh, wow. Now, what Greek god are you right now?
Dionysus.
Dionysus,
Okay.
okay.
Sure.
Which one is he again?
Is it a woman?
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Okay.
You're trembling.
That was pretty good.
You're hunched over. This. You don't look healthy.
You got water right here, man. I'm just saying.
That's not water, but I will take it.
Is it vodka?
No, this is a Bolivian mixture.
What's Bolivian about it?
It's from Bolivia. That's
Oh.
what's Bolivian.
Okay. Checks
I
out.
like that didn't answer a lot of the questions.
Oh,
Oh,
actually,
it answered my question.
I'm gonna pop a couple herbs on the way out here. Okay, if we could get in closing. Okay, so
Oh.
it's okay. It's good. You want it?
What was that you just took?
It's my herbs,
Right.
but I don't know what's in them.
Okay.
I'm
got
not
it.
allowed to know. So take this information and thrust into the world. We're gonna take these lessons and steer your lives right into the sun. Gosh, listen to your mind and your soul. Wait, don't listen to your mind. Listen to your soul. Listen to your body. Listen to your libido, etc. And just be confident that you have information that people don't, because you're infinitely knowledgeable, and you can take that and know that there's something you know.
Oh, he's done. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was enlightening.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, truly.
Oh.
I'm gonna take my art.
That's fine. Are you sticking? Is there a Q&A,
You
Dr.
gonna stick
Brandon?
around?
Oh, there's a Q&A.
Yeah, usually there's a Q&A.
You can sit down.
I
I'm
can
sure.
sit?
Yeah,
I'd love to sit.
I think that's fine.
Thank you.
Let's see. Over here in the chat, Fever Woman, any advice of what I should whisper into my son's ear to help him wake up?
Any advice for what I should whisper in my son's ear to help him wake up?
Let's see the second half of that question.
I would say you should whisper the first song that you ever sang to him. But you should do it in the voice of an ancient samurai. Because the combination of the memory and then also the archetypal force should rattle him enough.
Wow. See, I have a question, if that's
What's
all
that?
right. So you speak about this being a church. Do you have a physical sanctuary of sorts, like an actual church or chapel for the Christian faith?
We used to have the basement of this bar on the Lower East Side that the Wiccans would use on weekends.
Right.
But obviously, Bloomberg. Other than that, we're kind of online now. We sort of exist in that place between here and the stars.
Okay.
I had a question. Earlier you said that the herbs made your brain tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go
Tighter and smoother. We can't say smoother because then it's a liability issue, but we can say tighter because we've proven it's tighter.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Sure.
Great.
We have a question from the chat. User Soulpath asks, where did you get that hat?
I was gifted this hat by a monk in the foothills of the Himalayas that I had to murder to gain a greater enlightenment into my own sexuality. And after murdering him, I was awarded his hat by the village. It was exciting.
All right.
What kind of exercise besides the push-ups do you do?
There's push-ups, bicep curls, pull-ups, lateral squats, free weight deadlift. You can do stuff like that. Yeah, you can lift. That thing where you flip a tire, a big tire.
Right.
I do that sometimes.
You do the rope.
I do the rope.
Doing the rope?
I do the rope. Shake the rope. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fever Woman asks, can two brains connect in space/time?
Well, I don't have the book to fully back me up here, but I'll just say that more than two brains are connected at a time. All brains are connected at one time. Our brains, the brain in a jar, the jar doesn't separate him from the connectivity that exists between us all. Even in that jar, he and I are one and the same. And that's why I don't feel bad about insulting him earlier. Because I insulted me. And forgive me.
Okay.
I respect that. I get that, kind of.
So should we
It
not
means you
trust
respect
the brain
you.
in the jar?
I'm sorry?
Should we not trust the brain in
I
the
wouldn't
jar
go that
then?
far.
You trust him as much as you trust anything in yourself, and you distrust him as much as you
You brought us
distrust
on the
anything
show.
in yourself.
Bring us on the show. That's
Right?
nice of him.
Yeah.
It's up to you guys whether you trust me or not.
It is.
The jury's out.
Fair. Oh, yeah.
Is that...
All right. Thank you so much once again to Krishna Maurice. Thank
for your
you.
time. Look out for the book. I'll be circulating it around Arizona.
Great. I hope you guys got a lot of information. You learned something new. And you had a lot of fun. There he is.
Hi.
Thanks, Krishna.
I needed my paintings.
So, guys, we've actually been getting a lot of new viewers on this show, so we thank you so much. We've gotten to a place where we can finally sell some ads. So we're happy to bring you some of our first commercials from our new ad campaigns, and they have to do with the themes. And this one is from a WebMD. So please enjoy. Hi, I'm Lonnie Abrams, and this is my WebMD story. As a young 40-something-year-old man who eats plenty of reindeer meat and jogs to and from my local Spencer's Gifts every day, I never expected to need WebMD. I'm in perfect shape, or at least that's what the man in the mirror tells me while I'm spraying my favorite cologne through the little flap in my boxers. But you never know when things could change. One day I was riding my motorized razor scooter to Ralph's so I could bend over right in front of the deli lady and pretend to look at different brands of tortillas. And as I was running a red light, I got hit by a huge semi-truck. For the next few days, I felt totally off. I could not figure out what was wrong with me. It got to the point where I had been laying on the sidewalk for almost 72 hours without moving, and I could swear a bunch of my bones were facing the wrong way. But I hadn't done anything differently since I got hit by that truck. That was when I finally thought to try WebMD. I put my symptoms into WebMD's symptom checker, and within minutes it told me I was dying on the side of the street and all my bones were broken because of the truck I got hit by. It was a total epiphany moment. Like when I realized you don't have to whisper if you're ordering off of In-N-Out's secret menu. Once I knew I was dying, I just pictured my favorite thing in the world. The little pinup card Bruce Willis runs past in the movie Die Hard. And I let the light take me in. Now I'm dead and I think I'm in hell. WebMD. We'll tell you if you're dying. Great. That was great. So if you guys ever feeling off, you can always go to WebMD and get an accurate diagnosis. Well, great. I guess that leads us into our next presenter. So will everyone please welcome up Dr. Murphy Redfield, a gamer pediatrician.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very excited to be here. Very excited to tell you about my processes, my little program I'm setting up here, and talk about technology a little bit. I am Dr. Murphy Redfield. Pleasure to meet you all again. Glad to be here. Can we go ahead and pull up the show right next to me? Got my presentation right here. We're going to talk about adolescent life lessons through video games. Going to go on the other side. Going on the other side of the frame over here. Again, I'm Dr. Murphy Redfield. I'm a pediatrician. I'm a father of 2. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. And first and foremost, I want to get this right out of the way, probably relieve some people. I am, in fact, a gamer. I'm a gamer, really big fan of video games, of the technology that is making us thrive and survive in this new landscape. And also the huge catalog of artistic, interactive experiences that have been made from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Video games are very important to me, as you can see from my, placing it as a stethoscope here, a PlayStation 2 controller. This is a DualShock, has both analog sticks, and will vibrate when there's an enemy around or if I'm hit in a video game. Now, first things first, here's my credentials. As you can see here, I'm bona fide. Although, more importantly, like I mentioned, I'm a father. Next slide. This is my son, Tanichi. I'm very proud of this young man over here. He's an athlete. He's a star student as far as most subjects go. He's working on a lot of things right now. He's a very ambitious young man with a lot of dreams and hopes and ideas. Okay? I want to support him. I care about him. Next slide. This is my other son, Alphonse. Now, he means well. Lord knows that much. It's a little bit of a struggle for him, obviously. By no means is he a medically special needs child, but Lord knows he needs a little bit more help from his mother, and I don't resent him for that at all. Do not resent him for that at all. Next slide. Thank you. I love my sons. As you can see here, they're part of my blood. They're part of my tree, and yet there's still that generational gap. There always will be. That's part of every little facet of life. So how can I get these 2 kids over here, to come a little closer to me? What's the one thing they have in common, despite the fact that Tanichi's a star, while Alphonse is a struggling white dwarf planet? Well, got to the next slide. Video games. Video games are the things that connect these 2 different children together. I see them playing Rocket League every evening. I see them playing Overwatch and Fortnite and so much and so forth. Watching people play Fortnite and Overwatch, so on and so forth. And have you seen the numbers that these video games pull with the streamers and the Let's Players on YouTube? Next slide. It's incredible. If we can take these numbers and these eyes and apply them to our attention that we receive from our children, then we'd actually have a better handling on parenting. Next slide. I think video games can be used as a tool. Video games are made by man for man, to help fellow man learn how to live and thrive. Think about learning how to fly a plane or to shoot a gun. You know, if you're flying a plane, you're essentially playing Ace Combat, same controls, same cockpit panel, if you will. We can apply these principles that video games teach us for much more fantastical adventures into life, because life is a game after all, folks. Life is a game. Get that through your skull right now. That is lesson 1. Life is a game. Y'all understand that now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next
makes
slide.
sense.
It's a little fuzzy.
Good. I know you guys get it. You're adults. We're catching up. This is for the kids. Remember, this is specifically for the kids. As an adult, I'm trying to bridge my relationship with my kids. Next slide. There I am at the end. There are my 2 sons on the other side, and there is a Mad Catz Xbox One controller as the bridge. Next slide. Let's get into it. Okay. That's I don't know why that's in there. It looks like my son Alphonse drowning. Let's just move past that right there. Don't worry about that. It's a little hiccup, I'm sure. Next slide. Yeah, I don't want to see my son drowning. Next slide. I don't know why that's in there. Okay, so using video games to teach our kids life lessons. Let's take our first example here, dental care. As a parent, you know that this is an absolute nightmare. Brushing your teeth, teaching your kids to brush your teeth. Not fun. Makes your mouth burn. Nevertheless, it's important. And yet it's hard to reach children and let them understand this, because all they know is the pain. So we got to recontextualize it. Remember, life is a game. Next slide. The enemy of life in this case is plaque on your teeth. The weapon, your toothbrush, and your toothpaste. Let's look at a video game that can kind of gamify this concept and teach your kids something they might need to know. Let's play the video. This is a clip from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. As you can see here, we're going to add a little context here. The innocent civilians over there are plaque, and the machine gun is the toothbrush.
Wow. That is.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. No, this burned a lot of trust with the media of video
There
games.
goes again.
Absolutely. We're going to play it again. That's okay. If we have to, it's fine. Just to, get it in their heads. Remember, I'm trying to show children these clips in video games, okay? Because that can help them understand, oh, it is important for me to brush my teeth. There are stakes. Next example.
I just want to make a quick disclaimer. I'm so sorry. If you have any, use your discretion. I don't. Okay. There are going to apparently be some images that are not suitable for all ages. So just be aware. I was not expecting that clip, but I'm still excited to hear more about your presentation.
That's
thank you.
fair. I would actually contextualize it as it's not for all people. This could be for certain people of almost all ages, but some people, absolutely not. And that's okay. Video games are just not for everybody, but it seems like the younger the generations go, the wider the net video games cast. Next slide. Let's go to another example over here. Vegetables, another absolute obstacle that parents have to go through in teaching their kids. It is important to eat your vegetables. It is good for your body. It is undeniably icky. No one can turn that fact down. Let's gamify it again. So, with eating something, it reminds you of what?
Food.
Yeah, food.
That's okay. I should have maybe given a little more. In a video game, when you are injured, bleeding, or missing a limb of some sorts, you need to what?
Think positively.
Use your gun.
Crawl behind something.
He's the closest. You're all right. He's the closest. Because when you hide behind something in a game like Call of Duty, what are you doing?
Hiding.
Fearing.
Regenerating your health. Regenerating your health. In other video games like Castlevania, you eat a whole turkey dinner, all of a sudden, boom, you're full life. Your life bar is full. Now, getting your kids to eat your...
Donkey Kong video game, you would eat oranges.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And yet, we tell our kids this. They try it. Vegetables still taste like duty, to put it lightly. So you got to reverse the psychology a little bit, trick them, and convince them that, again, it's a weapon, it's a tool that they're using. Next slide, please. reverse the psychology. Now, say this quote out loud verbatim to your children. Vegetables are the weapon to kill the bad things in your body. It might not feel good, but it is important. I want you all to say that to your kids, regardless if you take care of my program or what. If you become a part of the movement, if you even disagree with me, I want you to at least say that one statement to your children, okay? So, vegetables. Let's get another video game example of using vegetables as a weapon against the bad things in your body.
Think about what you have to lose.
Where are the vegetables?
The vegetables are broken glass, put it in your mouth.
Oh, I feel so much.
Go ahead and just get it in there. Shove it down. Shove it down. Force it. I know it tastes icky. I know broccoli has that weird texture that's kind of hairy, like you're biting into a cold cat of some sort. But when you eat the broccoli, it's going to help you out. It's going to kill the enemy, if you will. So I want to kind of get a little more interactive with this, folks. I'm going to show you a video game clip next, and then I want to get your guesses or your analyses of what this is trying to teach as a life lesson. You in the chat as well. Watch this clip here, and then tell me what you think the lesson is to learn from it. This is from Resident Evil 4. Let's go ahead and play the clip, Mr. Brain.
I think I got this one.
It's almost done. Almost done.
Oh, I thought I knew it when I saw that.
These are the stuff of nightmares.
All right. Little pop quiz. What are we thinking?
Is it about when your head gets eaten by a monster?
All right, let's get some other guesses in there.
I couldn't guess what's happening. I just have a deep sexual energy now from what just happened.
That's fair.
I would only assume the monsters represent vegetables, and them destroying yourself is reflexive of them doing the good things in your own body.
I love your instinct. I feel like you're on the right track here, but I'm not that single-minded. This is not just a one-way road.
We got some guesses from the chat here.
There is some guesses from the chat.
User Truth Krishna Maurice says Krishna Maurice is the archetype of Satan's siren.
I think he said distrust. Distrust was his pick.
Distrust is the pick for the
That
video
was a
games.
mistype. He was talking
Interesting.
about something else.
I could see how that works. And you know, video games can be used for a lot of things like conflict resolution. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But if we pull the next slide, I'll show you what that was actually a clip of. Portion control.
Oh.
You get a big piece
it's
of chicken, you're
obvious
looking
now.
at it, you want to eat the whole thing, gobble it down. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to gain too much weight, and you're going to get jaundiced, and you're going to start feeling sleepy. So you cut up that chicken, you save a little bit of it later on, and you eat a little bit now. It's like they were cutting the heads off of amateur cop Leon S. Kennedy in Resident Evil 4. Although at that point he was on a mission to save the president's daughter. Resident Evil 2, he was an amateur cop. Let's get to the next video game here. And the next life topic. Next slide, please. Potty training. Here's the point where I want to tell you that I want this program and this idea to span multiple age ranges and types of people in this life. So potty training, much younger, definitely, but you can still use video games to teach this lesson here. Let's gamify it. Objective, urinate into the hole, the toilet. Basic gameplay element of life, you are aiming. Now this example I use here, I used on my son Alphonse. It took him a little while to really understand it, so I had to add in some stakes. I had to take a really intense concept here. You know, for aiming, we could have taken a Fortnite thing. He's sniping, trying to hit a bay of hail or something like that. But Alphonse is special, like I mentioned before. So I had to kind of really pound it in there, make him understand how important it is to hit the toilet and not the seat around him. Let's play the clip.
Step 1.
This is Dead Space 2 by EA and Visceral Games.
This kind of looks like that Gravity movie.
Yeah, you know what? Alfonso Cuarón actually took inspiration from the Dead Space video games. Now, again, my son, Alphonse, he has a penis, so that's his right there, and the toilet is the eye of Dr. Isaac Clarke. And if you miss the toilet, you make a big old mess. That's just a shame.
Oh, it looks kind of like he made it in there.
It looks like he made the toilet.
It's true. Maybe he went there like kind of too hard.
Too much.
Exactly.
He peed too hard into
It
the
could also
toilet.
teach you a
If you
lesson
pee
of
too much, it's
of
bad.
Yeah.
distance
I had
from
that
the
problem
toilets.
for a while where I was peeing too hard.
Exactly. If you're at a urinal, that could splash back on your khakis. It's
I'd
gonna
be
be visible.
Yeah, if you're excited.
I'd just
Exactly
be
right.
drenched
It's
in
an
my own
expression.
piss sometimes.
See, this is bridging problems that you have as an adult with someone that like a 3-year-old that would be struggling
it's
with.
true. You're never too old to learn to piss.
Exactly
Absolutely.
right. Thank you. You guys are really getting it. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to be on here. I'm honored to be part of this. Let's go to our last example here. Now, as I was saying, there's a program of sorts. I'm trying to do a Let's Play series, some live stream events in order to teach these kids these lessons. But also, I know that every child is different and that we can actually, learn how to pinpoint our usage of video games to specific needs. Let's go to the next slide over here. Again, this is my son, Alphonse. It's the only picture I have of him. But Alphonse, on his first day of school, was very nervous. He was very nervous to be meeting new people, to be eating new food that he's not familiar with, and just in general learning things that are way out of his depth. School's just a really intense environment. It's like throwing a rabbit into a lion's pen. So I pulled aside on the curb, pulled out my phone, and I made this video for him, and I showed it to him, just to show him the things that he's going to have to deal with in life. Can't make it all bubblegum and color and fun. This is life. This is the truth. These are the things you're going to encounter, especially in school. Let's go ahead and play the clip I showed him.
I'm looking forward to this.
We got it, Mr. Brain. You good?
Oh.
Life's going to be hard.
Oh.
Life's going to be a little difficult sometimes. People are going to get in your way. They're not going to understand who you are, what you stand for, where you come from.
Beautiful.
You
So I
edited
sh-
this on your phone?
Yes, I showed this to him in silence.
Magnificent.
Telepathically, I was telling him,
Oh.
son, I understand the pain that you're going to be
no.
going through and how scared
What it
you
would
are.
feel to die in
But I'm with you.
How old is your son?
At the time, he was about, let's see, that was the first day of first grade. So I'd say he's about 7.
Oh, no.
Again, I didn't tell him any of the
no.
Down there, what a moment.
supportive
Oh, no.
words verbally. I told it telepathically. I just stared at him as he watched the footage
Oh.
over
I
here.
feel like I've
I
seen
feel like
it.
we kinda
Yeah,
get
we
it.
got-
Yeah.
I know you guys get it, but remember, the kids at home, I always want to play it again just so the kids can see
Yeah,
it.
no, I
getting
think
that.
we're
love the
fine on that.
spine.
You showed this to your 7-year-old son?
Yes, absolutely.
Does anyone think that's a little inappropriate for children that age?
I'm sorry, but life isn't censored, and you can't really.
That's actually very good. That's a very good point you're making.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you,
got
Krishna.
a point. Life is not censored.
Life is not censored, and you cannot save
a
them
very good
from
point he's
every little
making.
dark thing
My
in
church
life. So I'm
talks
just
about
trying to
that
show
a
them the raw realness of what life is going to give them. I can't stop it. I can drop them off at school. I can't wait by the gate, hoping that no one's going to be running over my son with a golf cart or beating him up for his lunch money because he comes from a rich family.
Amen.
I'm sorry I'm so heated. I'm just very passionate, and I'm excited to present my ideas in front of a panel such as yours. I hope that you can consider funding my project. I believe, next slide, that we can definitely use the $50,000
What?
for good use. Yes, thank you very much. I'll start the bidding.
Huh?
Where did that come from?
Was there a money element?
I didn't know we could win $50,000.
Wait, this is a competition?
I was under the impression that it was. I thought this was a Shark Tank type show where you're looking into funding.
Where did you get that notion?
I don't know what you're referring to. This is the only version of Everything Now. There is no other version that would offer money or any other past versions that would do that.
I'm a little confused. I thought there was this long-haired guy with a hat. There's a
Sounds
big
like
check.
you're wrong, sir.
No.
Please don't mention.
cool, though.
Please don't mention anything about long hairs
All
or
right,
hats.
okay. I'll back away. It's not my lane. But the point is that if you were a Patreon, would you consider funding this kind of thing and showing it to your kids? I think there's benefits, and it was just on display right there, and it was worth $50,000.
I have a question.
Start the Q&A session right now.
So if I gave you some money, what kind of stuff would you use that money for?
Oh, I'm definitely going to be upgrading my gaming computer. I'm going to get some microphones, some good headphones, in fact, some Turtle Beach video game glasses. You probably see them at Best Buy. They're yellow tinted. They just help looking at the screen.
I'm not allowed into Best Buy anymore. Also, the chat, if you have questions for Dr. Maurice,
the chat
you can
has
ask.
a couple
Ask
questions.
away. I'm Murphy. Dr. Murphy. He's Dr. Maurice over there.
I'm not
Dr.
a
Murphy
The
Redfield.
state says I am not a doctor. We've been over this.
Right.
My bad.
Exactly.
There are some questions in the chat I'd love to offer up.
By all means. By all means.
Oh,
That's why we're
one brave man has asked, do you guys play Halo 2?
Oh, absolutely. I'm into showing my kids the classics. I got to make sure that they understand that video games as an art form and as entertainment has reached peaks that they are not seeing with these free-to-play bullshit battle royale games. No, nothing beats playing Halo 2 online, okay? Nothing beats playing Halo 3 online, Valhalla, Mongoose, the, what are they called, the Mauler, the handheld shotgun. The DMR from Halo 4 that shoots one bullet as opposed to the 3 from the battle rifle. Nothing better. God.
I have another one from the chat. User Supreme Cheesus says, I'm calling the cops. So
Not much of a question.
I would say that's not a question, and it's also a cowardly
have to
act.
leave if that
If
were
you're calling the cops on anything that you're seeing here on the show, then I got to say you have no evidence. They can watch back this stream, and they'll see perfectly legal exercise happening right here. Okay. In fact, even if a cop was a parent and thought that this is a disturbing idea, they'd think, oh, at least I get the philosophy that's behind it, and I understand that that is a free thought, and that's okay.
I have a question. We'll get to soul paths in a second here,
Please.
and Aiden would as well. We will get to your sex question.
Okay.
Would you say that, based on our interaction, that I'm upstanding citizen that is not a scammer nor a fraud? Because there's just some
yeah, we've been getting a lot of traction in the chat.
there's some
accusing
traction in the chat. I guess there's some
Krishna
negative
Maurice.
toxins have gotten into somebody, and they feel that they need to express that by attacking my character.
Sure. Again, I'm a pediatrician. Of course, I'm a human being. I'm a member of society. I am a fan of some radical notions myself. Some things I wouldn't even teach my kids
So that
right
absolves
now.
me. The next question from Soulpath. How can we get hair like yours?
Oh, it's very nice of you to point out. I have not cut my hair in the past 23 years. I've cut my hair
Wait,
in the past-
that's really short
Yeah,
then.
that's not a whole
not a lot of hair for that.
I will say that it kind of grows upward, and honestly, a lot of it has been growing down my back. So as you can see back here, there's a little bit of a cutoff
Inside
point.
the coat.
Yeah.
It runs
I have-
down the back of your shirt.
And it's tucked into my pants and my socks. It is that long.
Why don't you cut it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's something that I was planning on teaching in this lesson series as well, which is independent choice, independent
Right.
personality. I made this decision to not cut my hair because my mom would make me cut my hair every 1 week. Every 1 week of my life as a teenager. And that didn't let me get into the styles of the time. I couldn't get my flock of seagulls cut. I couldn't get my, the undercut with the hair kind of going over it or anything like that. Okay? I'm as much for individuality and personality as any parent out there could be. And I do that by exercising it myself. I may look like a crackpot or a nutcase, but I am a doctor. How can you not trust me? Plus, I'm a gamer.
That's a good point.
So you see someone being cool in themselves, however weird that may be, I think they trust them just a little bit more.
I actually have a follow-up question, if that's all right.
By all means.
So
wonderful.
after these trials running these video games, how is your relationship with your children now?
Well, Tanichi and I are going to be running the streams together, so he's going to be almost like my Zabumafu, if you will. Thank you. He's going to be my little partner. I'm actually teaching the lessons, even though I've taught most of the lessons to him. He'll be doing a little bit of acting in that sense. And I have not talked to Alphonse in about 4 years.
Oh, goodness.
We have not too much time left, but we do have 2 more questions. I'm just going to read them off both real quick and
Fire
you can
one.
answer them. Speed round. Supreme Jesus asks, What do I do if my mom is now my dad? And Mario Dion asks, have your kids heard of Mario Kart?
I also did promise Aiden the sex question.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the sex question to mix in with those other two questions is, Dr. Redfield, how can I use video games to talk to my child about sex?
Oh,
All
wow.
three of those at once, if you could.
Absolutely. So I would tell you, Aiden, go ahead and load up Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh my god.
Want you to get into a car? No. Yes, get into a car, drive into the most populated area possible with buildings surrounding it, okay? You're going to climb one of those buildings, you're going to do a cheat code and get yourself some hand grenades. Actually, you know what? No, you're going to get yourself some C4. And you're going to go back down the building, you're going to go into that little plaza or wherever you're looking. You're going to kind of lay some grenades and some C4 all around there, climb the building back up, then you go ahead and detonate. You're going to detonate and see the explosion that happens within the plaza down below. That's circulating, the area. This is the
Wow.
basic penetrating the hole.
If you could, while still answering this question, weave into if you've heard of Mario Kart.
Have your kids heard of Mario
Have your
Kart?
kids?
They've heard of it. They've heard kids talk about it at school. They say, "Hey, Dad, why can't we play this thing Mario Kart?" Well, one thing I keep telling them is that Nintendo is for sissies, obviously. They make these lame video games only for really little kids. And I'm trying to change what little kids can get into. They deserve the truth. They deserve reality and intensity. So no, we don't play Nintendo in our house. No Mario Kart. They play Burnout Paradise, and I make them crash the cars over and over again, not even getting to a race.
And the last one, really quick. What do I do if my mom is now my dad? Supreme Jesus really wanted to know that one, so
That's fine. High five them. Now they're your dad.
great.
I believe that's my time. Yes. So if you guys will just consider me for the funding, I'll be glad to.
There's no funding.
Didn't seem like there was any
It
funding.
didn't, and there was no indication.
Well, that's fine. If you think you have some money left over and think, wow, I would fund that, then just go ahead and talk to me afterward, and we'll just go ahead and discuss some sort of financial programming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. I actually don't have any arms. Thanks. Give it up one more time for Dr. Murphy Redfield. I hope you guys have learned a little bit more about health than you did before. What an interesting perspective. And yeah, I just want to thank all of our viewers again for tuning in. We really appreciate it, and we also really appreciate that we can now put up more ads. Again, we're doing a little partnership with WebMD, and so we have another commercial to show you. So please enjoy.
Hi, my name is Lacey Jones, and this is my WebMD story. I'm a pretty average girl, except 3 years ago, I walked in on both of my parents having sex with the guy from the Sit and Sleep ads. The one who says, your mattress is free!
So your mattress is free!
They weren't even doing it all together. There was a timer in the middle, and the Sit and Sleep man kept walking back and forth between two separate beds my parents were in. When they saw me, he looked me in the eyes and said, "You're killing me, Larry." Ever since then, I've felt pretty off. I can't sleep on mattresses or in bedrooms anymore. At the end of the day, I just lean against my fridge until I fall asleep. Sometimes I see ads for Sit and Sleep, and I swear that the man is whispering things to me like we've both been spanked by the same person. My husband even left me because I kept hallucinating that his penis was a small mattress. So I tried entering my symptoms into WebMD, and guess what? Not one of them came up. So I guess that means that there's nothing wrong with me. Isn't that great? I'm fine. Thanks, WebMD. WebMD, you're fine.
All right, I don't have a lot of time, so we really gotta jump into it. If you would just pull up my presentation, please, I'll control the slides. Great, I'm Paul Brutal, I'm a neo-nutritionist. We don't have too much time to explain what that is, but basically it's like a nutritionist of the future. Okay, so I'm just gonna find some space here on the stage if you would pull up my, perfect, great. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a neo-nutritionist. I was hired on the first Bush campaign to be part of the Department of Health and Human Services. I was a staffer in the department. My job was primarily a marketing position, but I worked with the scientists in there to develop a lot of what was going on. We're just going to go ahead and we got to skip around here. Let me see. My clicker doesn't seem to be clicking. There we go. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time with Mr. Bush on the campaign trail. You can see here's a picture of me with the president. There I am. Just sort of, obviously, the guy's a popular man, so I couldn't get quite into the inner circle, but we were working together. Just to give you an idea of what I was working on, our program was primarily focused on coming up with a way to make cigarettes healthy. So we all know that cigarettes are bad for you. Thank you, yes. Yeah, we were doing a lot of great work. Unfortunately, just to give you an idea, here's some of the copy that I was working on at the program. We were really trying to turn it around. The big tobacco money was just flooding in at the time, so we were getting a lot of that. But eventually, around 1998, I believe, we were given a new project. Sparky, cigarettes. I would say the jury's still out on them. I smoke them personally, and freaking look at me. But I would say, you know, people are shit talking them, and so we can.
Reason if you think cigarettes are good for you, that makes them good for you.
And then as a doctor, I would say that they're definitely bad for you, but they look cool. So
okay, all right. So like I said, jury's still out on cigarettes. But around 1998, I got into a project that we all are probably familiar with. Yes, the food pyramid. So you guys are all probably familiar with the food pyramid. You probably learned about the food pyramid in school. So that was a project that I actually had a lot to do with. I was part of the team that developed the food pyramid. But to be honest, most of the material was already provided to us. You know, the shape, the foods, the order of the foods. That was all given to us by the higher-ups. So I started doing some snooping to try to figure out, you know, where is this information coming from, right? Where are we getting the food pyramid? You know, so I started taking a look deeper, and surprise, surprise, things weren't quite as squeaky clean as we might have thought. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm going there, folks. So
okay, let's get into
if we keep our eye on things, we might be able to find some shady business dealings that were just beneath the surface. So anyway, let's get back to it, the food pyramid. We all know and love the food pyramid. Some quick things about the food pyramid, things that a lot of people already know. Let's talk about dairy. Let's talk about big dairy. All right, big dairy, obviously we all know big dairy has completely flooded the mainstream media, right? We've got big-time celebrities endorsing milk. Bill Ray, the Doc, Docky Phil, even the Quizman himself. Wow. Yeah, Alex Trebek. So our kids are growing up idolizing these people, wondering, what do I have to do to be like Quizman, Alex Trebek, drink lots of milk, right? So that's just one layer of the food pyramid, the lies that they're telling you. But let's focus on the big picture right now, the biggest picture, bread. All right, we all know bread, right? Or do we? Do we know bread? What is bread, really? I'm not sure. Are you? Let's think about it for a second, because what were we taught? Bread is wheat, right? Okay, well, let's look at wheat. Take a look at that photo. Take a look at the picture of bread and tell me how that comes to be. I'm not sure.
It's ground down. It's baked over a period of time.
Have you ever made bread?
I've never seen it.
No. Most of us haven't.
Yeah, I can't attest to that.
Most of us haven't made bread. You know who's making the bread? Bakers. That's right, bakers. Oh, bakers. Oh, my friendly neighborhood baker, right? Yes. Wrong. What do we know about bakers? Let's ask ourselves, what do we really know about bakers? Well, let's think. They get up at fucking the crack of the dawn, right? 3:30 in the morning, middle of the night to go to work. Why? Why?
jump on the
I'll
day.
tell you why. Because they need to operate in the shadows before the sun comes up.
And at night, everything's shadows.
It's true. At night, we are our shadows.
Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Anyone familiar with this? A normal dozen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? How many in a baker's dozen?
13.
13. That's right. We're catching on quickly now. Okay, so we all know about 13, right? 13, clearly it's the devil's number. We know this through a few different references. Obviously, Friday the 13th, very clearly, unlucky date on the calendar. All those kids got murdered by that guy in that movie. We've also got, buildings leaving the 13th floor out of their elevator system. Clearly unlucky number, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. All right, let me explain. OPEC. Who knows about OPEC, the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries? Are we familiar with OPEC? Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. G20, G7 summits. This is the shit that they're talking about. So let's count those nations up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just fast forward here. There's 13 member nations of OPEC. Huh. That's a little interesting, right? Let's scratch a little deeper at the surface here and see if we can't find something. Apple. We're all familiar with Apple, right? We've got Apple products in our pockets. We got an Apple product. Well, no, that's actually a PC, I guess. But we all use Apple products to the extent that 1.3 trillion dollar valuation recently on Apple. Oh, let's take a look at that number real close. What is that? 1.3. Oh, looks an awful lot like 13. And where is Apple located? Okay, well, here's a picture of their newly built headquarters, the Apple Space. Where's that located? Oh, Cupertino, California. Let's see. Let's check the address. Oh, would you look at that? 1313
Is that factual?
North De Anza Boulevard, Cupertino, California. Look it up. If you
Chat,
don't believe
look that
me,
up,
look
please.
it up.
Please look that up, chat.
1313. So 13 starting to appear a little bit more frequently once we start to take a closer look, but it gets a little bit deeper. Let's move on. Anybody recognize this face? Huh? Do you recognize this guy? Huh? Yeah, that's right. That's Jeff. Jeffy Bezos. How much is he worth? Oh, let's take a look. 4.8 billion US dollaroonies. Yes, that's right. And let's take a look at the first two numbers of that number. 1, 3. Right. Yes, 13. Jeff Bezos. But are you trying to doubt this? Well, let's take an even closer look. Let's take a look at his name, Jeffrey Bezos. How many letters in that name? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13. It's everywhere. All right. I don't think we need to go any deeper here. We can already understand that there's a lot of problems with the food pyramid. All right. It's shaped like a pyramid. That's a huge problem already. 13 appearing all over the fucking place. So let's ditch it. Right? Let's get rid of it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do instead? Well, that's where I come in. As a neo-nutritionist, I have been developing a new system of nutrition, and with that new system of nutrition, we've got a brand new shape. I'd like to introduce the food decagon. All right, so a decagon is a 10-sided shape. We all should know this from geometry class. A decagon is comprised of 10 different triangles, but 10 is an even number as opposed to the 3-sided devil shape that is the triangle. So we can just jump right into this. I'm going to rattle off some of the food groups on the decagon, starting off Nerds Rope. This is a pretty clear one that was entirely ignored on the traditional food pyramid. You will not see Nerds Rope on a traditional food pyramid. You will see it here because rope foods are actually completely ignored by traditional nutrition standards. You probably can't even name 3 rope foods.
Spaghetti one?
Yeah, I would count spaghetti.
Okay.
So spaghetti, this category is spaghetti, Nerds Rope, other rope-shaped foods.
What about ropes themselves? They are edible.
Sure, yeah. We could talk about eating actual rope, like a hemp rope. I'll address that during the Q&A. But we should move on to the next category, and that's hot dog. Obviously, hot dog's in there. Hot dog is one of the most patriotic meats.
Singular? That's one hot dog?
Yeah, hot dog. Well, yeah, I wouldn't recommend eating more than one hot dog at a time, so I put hot dog singular on there. So hot dog's a really great food. Very patriotic. We eat it during the 4th of July for a reason. It's because it's filled with freedom and liberty. We got to move on. Let me see my freaking
They're not
clicker
represented
here.
on the food pyramid. I know that much.
Okay, assorted nuts. Now, this one trips up a lot of people because they're like, all right, assorted nuts, that could mean anything. There's many nuts in there. Which ones are the good ones? And that's the point. Who knows? There's freaking a million nuts, right? So I say assort them, throw them all into a mix, throw some salt on that suckers. All right, have you ever been on a first-class flight? All right, I haven't, but sometimes I'll walk up there to take a piss in the fancy bathroom in the front of the plane, and they've got those warm nuts. Yeah, ask yourself why the CEOs of the Fortune 500 business companies are eating salty assorted nuts in first class, and maybe you'll answer some questions for yourself. We got to move on. All right, Frank's Red Hot. Frank's Red Hot, another controversial addition to the food decagon. People are always telling me, Paul, you can't put a condiment on a food shape. All right, a condiment is not a food. And to that I say, what is a food? What is a condiment? To me, Frank's Red Hot goes on everything. So it would be ridiculous to leave it off of any kind of system for nutritional health, because it's a vital part. And it tastes freaking delicious. To put that shit on a bumper, it'll spice up any meal. And finally, beans. This one's pretty clear. We all know beans, a magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, you better you feel. So eat your beans for every meal. So that one's really clear. That rhyme, I actually wrote that as a little way to remember the importance of keeping beans. And again, this is just sort of broad, general beans, any kind of beans, jelly beans, Birdie Bop beans, baked beans, any kind of beans. Get those in there, and you're going to be real healthy. And so next on here, the rest is just supplements. So the rest of the decagon, that's really important, is supplements. Supplements is just kind of like pills and tablets and things like that. So I brought some. I carry this around wherever I go, this bag. It's just sort of got some things that I like to keep with me. Let's take a look at what we got in here. D3, that's a good one. I used to do D2, and then I freaking stepped it up a notch, and I've been chomping D3s. What else? Oh, this is my calendar. So each one of these colors represents a different week of the month. And I just kind of mix it up in there. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. I just like the colors here. This kind of helps me, stay motivated to keep eating lots of supplements. What else is in here? Oh, this is good. This is actually marketed as cat food. It's marketed as something called Love Some Chicken Stew with Vegetable Pate.
Oh no, that's hard.
Yeah, you can buy this at like Ralph's, and they market it as cat food. But what they don't tell you actually is that it's a great source of niacin, which is hard to find in supplement form. But you can get it in Love Some Chicken Stew with Vegetable Pate. That's where I get my niacin. I'm spiking right now.
Does it taste good?
No, it tastes terrible.
Okay.
And so I like to keep this bag with me when I'm out on the street in case I need just a sup hit. But I also just kind of keep them loose in my pocket, just kind of like keep just like a stash. So I can just kind of pop them when I'm feeling down or feeling like, I need a little pick-me-up.
You're just taking those dry, aren't you?
Yeah, I just throw them down dry. I used to need water.
It seems like
now I just kind of chew them.
Yeah, you've moved to chewing.
It's a lot of powder.
So anyway, that's like mainly the. Oh, it got stuck in your teeth a little bit if you chew them. Kind of chalky. So that's basically it. The decagon. If we want to run through it, just like real quick, pull it back up. I can run you through them real quick one more time, just so we're all clear on the decagon. So that's Nerds Rope, hot dog. Yeah. Bring it all the way back. Nerds Rope, hot dog, assorted nuts, Frank's Red Hot, beans, supplements. And if you combine, I'm still working on this pill. I'm just gonna spit it.
All right.
I'm just gonna spit it out and leave that there, and I'll finish that off later on in the night. So I'm ready to open it up to some questions. If you have questions for me about my time in the Bush administration or about the Decagon, I'm ready to go. Let's fucking go.
Completely forgot about the Bush stuff. Well, I got a question, and also Sparky Sparkles has a question.
All right, hit it.
My first question is, how would you, such as the food pyramid, would you try and knock out every part of the Decagon in one meal, and how would you do that?
Yeah, that's usually what I try to do. If I'm cooking at home, I'm just gonna get a big pot going, and I'm putting Nerds Rope in there, and I'm putting beans in there, and I'm dumping some Frank's Red Hot in there, and I'm just getting a stew going.
Would you add a single hot dog?
Yes, one hot dog, never more than one hot dog.
Bun included, or is just the sausage?
Yeah, when I say hot dog, I mean like the concept of a hot dog, not the actual tube of meat, but like
the sandwich.
The hot dog sandwich, exactly. So that's going fully into the pot. And then obviously like a ton of supplements, and I'm just mixing them in there. They get dissolved in the Frank's Red Hot real nice. Right. So yeah, I'm eating that. I call that health stew.
Okay. And then Sparky Sparkles asked Paul, what are your feelings on vitamin R?
Vitamin R, yeah. That's a experimental vitamin, right? I think they were doing some research on that back when I was in the Bush administration. Yeah, R's a good one. I've tried R. I know I've got friends and family who've done R to varying results. I knew a guy, my cousin actually, who did nothing but vitamin R for 3 months. And I haven't heard or seen heard from him in probably like a couple weeks. But R is cool. I like vitamin R. I'm an alphabet man. That's what I say. Like if it's got an alphabet letter, I'm gonna try it.
Okay, fair. Thank you.
Yeah. I have one question, sir. I'm a great admirer of yours, and I'm enthralled by your passion. But I must ask, those supplements.
Yeah.
Are they natural? Because, we talked about earlier, we tried to disperse the quiz show man that got milk, but the quiz show man got milk. And, that's a natural process for him.
Yes. This is a question I get a lot. Are the supplements natural? And what I always say to this is, what is natural? What is nature? The pills are right here. I can reach out and touch them. They're part of nature. So just the fact that they happen to be made in an undisclosed factory in Taiwan doesn't necessarily mean they're not natural, because that factory in Taiwan is a part of our natural world. And so what I would challenge the viewers at home to come up with is something that's not natural, because I haven't seen it.
This is some intense stuff. Got a real fascinating
I have
view on
something
reality.
That's not natural. Insecurity. That's not natural.
Okay, that's sort of like a metaphysical thing, but sure.
I've got a two-part question for you. The first being, do you adhere strictly to this diet of hot sauce, sorted nuts, Frank's? Is that your entire diet?
Absolutely, yes. And you got to get creative, right? Because there's only so many combinations of Nerds Rope, hot dog, assorted nuts, Frank's Red Hot beans, and supplements that you can make. And I've tried them all.
If I could, would the main methodology be to eat a hot dog with some Frank's Red Hot, maybe the beans are the side dish, and then for dessert you have the Nerds Rope, and then maybe you're snacking on the nuts throughout the day?
Yeah, that's the obvious meal plan, and I did do that for probably two and a half years straight, where I would do, the hot dog and Frank's Red Hot is sort of the entree, and then bean side, Nerds Rope, and then some suppies just to get in there for some dessert. I'd throw some suppies in there. But yeah, eventually you get deep into it enough where you're like, Nerds Rope is dinner tonight. Sorry, Nerds Rope is dinner tonight.
I assume sometimes it's suppies for supper.
Sometimes it's suppies for supper. Yeah, I did have a suppy supper club for a little while. That got disbanded after we got kicked out of the YMCA. We never told anyone we were meeting there, so they got upset that we were meeting in the YMCA. But yeah, suppies for supper. I'm trying to bring that back as soon as we find another venue for that.
Okay, and then the second part of my question would be, are you okay?
Huh? Feeling great. I never felt better. I've never felt anything like this before. So every day is a better day than the last, and I love life.
Well, we got some more questions from the chat here.
Great.
Let's see. Ground
Let's bring 'em.
beans. How do you maintain healthy thyroid function? Adding on to that, Aiden Wood, if I'm a vegetarian, what can I substitute for hot dog?
And again, if you could answer those questions at the same time.
Right, yeah. Okay, so thyroid, that's part of your body, right? Look, all right, I'm not going to tell you I'm a doctor, all right? I'm a neonutritionist, which means I know what goes into the body, but I don't necessarily know anything about what's already in there. All right? That's another guy's profession. So thyroid, that sounds to me like maybe it's an organ or something. I'm just going to go back to what I know. Hot dog, nerd rope, bean sauce, supplements. You throw all those together in the right ratio, your thyroid's going to be fucking kicking ass. It's going to be Chuck Norrising doors down. You're going to be kicking like I'm kicking right here. That's all I can say to that. In terms of a hot dog substitute, we get a lot of vegetarians saying, I can do the nerd's rope, I can do the beans, I can do the supplements, but how do I do the hot dog, And to that I say, you don't have to hit every item on the decagon as long as you're only eating items on the decagon. So if if you've got some sort of food restriction and you can't eat nerd's rope for whatever reason, that's fine. You don't have to add nerd's rope to your diet. As long as the only other things that you're eating are hot dog, beans, Frank's Red Hot, assorted nuts, and supplements.
Right.
So that's what I would suggest to you at home. If you don't like hot dog, there's plenty of Nerds Rope and assorted nuts to go around.
Well, if the panel's feeling all right, we have one more question from the chat.
Great.
We got,
Hit me.
We got two.
I have nothing left.
Well, Aiden Wood's back. Paul, our hot dog sandwiches, and then right after that, probably our last question. Why do you keep skipping over the assorted nuts, Paul? What are you hiding from us?
Okay. What was the first question again? One more time.
Our hot dog sandwiches?
Hot dog sandwiches. Okay, this is controversial, and I don't want to get put on any lists for my opinion here, but yes, clearly, hot dogs are sandwiches.
That's what I'm saying.
It's two pieces of, well, I guess a bun is one piece of bread, but you can split it into two, and really it's something in the middle and then bread on either side of it. To me, that's a sandwich.
Any piece of bread into two?
Huh?
Could you not split any piece of bread into two?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, any food where there's a food in between bread, that's a sandwich, as far as I'm
Sushi
concerned.
and wraps, are they sandwiches too?
Oh, yeah, big time. Wraps are sandwiches. I'm going on the record right now. You know what? Actually, fucking tweet me. See what happens. And the last one, yeah, the nuts. I get that a lot, too. And I try to avoid talking about the nuts too much because I know that's a classist thing. People are like, how am I going to afford assorted nuts? I go to a store, I see assorted nuts. And how is an everyman like me supposed to buy assorted nuts? I go to first class, I see the assorted nuts in the little dish with the highfalutin, high society folk. And so, if you can afford a nice dish of assorted nuts, treat yourself. If you can't, like I say, look at the decagon, pick the foods that you can afford and eat with a guilt-free conscience, and just do those. And pretty soon you're going to be kicking.
Wow.
Seems like it's based on a lot of kicking.
To be an Adonis that could afford mixed nuts.
I know. I look at them all the time, and I think I'm lucky.
Anyway, I think that's basically my time. Unless anyone has any questions, if not, check out my website, fooddecagon.pa.rx. Right now, we're not in America. We're not allowed to be in America because of my ties to the government. But we are out there in the deep web. So swim on down, get on into the deep web, and check out our website. We got a lot of great information about the types of foods and recipes using the decagon.
Thank you so much to Paul Brutal. That was really enlightening. We've had so many great presenters, and I just want to shout out to Bulldogs. 1992 has been really trying to say hey to Cooper. If you just want to.
Hello. Yes, glad to be a part of this. And hello to you too.
Hello from me as well.
Nice to meet you, Bulldog.
Hello from me as well.
Were you born 1992?
Well, it's been such an amazing night of presenters and learning about health and seeing a little bit about WebMD again. If you feel like you're dying, WebMD will tell you if you're dying or if there's nothing wrong with you. WebMD will also do that. But this is about the end of our show. So if I could get all of our guests back up on stage, we're gonna find out what we learned today.
That's fine. This is fine. It's fine. Right. We do this word by word. Okay. I'll start over here.
Health
necessitates
Subconscious.
Energy.
Health necessitates subconscious energy.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Please, if you haven't already, give us a follow, give us a like. Oh, I don't need the mic, but thank you so much. And you guys have all been great. Again, I'm your host, Dr. Teacher. I hope you guys learned something. I hope your skull is full. And please tune in next week and to learn something else. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll take a vitamin. Those seem fine.